Thank you for listening to the first podcast of Boardroom Buddha. Our interview with Jimmy Tester, owner of Mammoth Car Washes, one of the more successful small businesses in our region, shared a number of successful tips for small businesses. Jimmy even let us know that he has started franchising, which I think probably is a great opportunity for any of you who are considering going into business for yourself. Jimmy's a great guy, and he's worked out a lot of the details. Jimmy Tester, Mammoth Car Wash. Our next podcast, I hope, is going to be about a man who was Starbucks before Starbucks became Starbucks. He's an area resident, and his story is fascinating, so don't miss it. Boardroom Buddha. Jimmy Tester. Let's get going here, bud. I appreciate you coming on the show, being my first guest.
Oh, thank you.
Very brave of you.
Yeah, well, this is a big endeavor for yourself as well. I think this is excellent, fun.
We'll see how we do.
Fun stuff.
So, let's find out a little bit about yourself first. A little bit of background, where you grew up, school, maybe hobbies, or what you do for fun.
Yikes.
First.
Okay. Well, let's get personal. All right. So, yeah, it's funny because I've been in Atlanta for 33 years. My dad was in the Air Force, so I didn't move here till 1985. Because he was in the Air Force, we moved around every 3 years to a new town. So I was born in California. We went to Virginia. We moved to Maryland, back to California, out to Germany for a few years, then to Washington State, then to South Carolina, and he ultimately retired in Tennessee. So I think a lot of my awakening years were probably in Tennessee. I went to Daniel Boone High School. And from there, I just knew I needed to get out of the small town. And I looked at the big city of Atlanta, and I thought, well, I'm going to go to Atlanta. And I took off a year after I graduated from high school.
Okay, so you've been here for
33 years, I guess.
33 years?
Wow. It scares me now.
Yeah, we've been here for about the same amount. Actually, I think we both started our businesses about the same time.
That's amazing. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So, and every time I see you, you've just got back from a trip?
Yeah.
Or you're going on a trip? Or what's up with that?
So, my wife, it's a funny story. I met her in 1990, so 5 years after I got here. I met her, and we started dating, and then she springs on me that she's applying for Delta Airlines. And she gets her job in 1990, December of 1990. And so we dated, and I was paying for trips to go on trips with her. She flew free. And then in 94, we got married. And so being the husband of a flight attendant, I can travel, and our children have been blessed with the bug of traveling. And we try to take a lot of trips. We just try to take advantage, and I don't want to say take advantage, but utilize that benefit. It's beautiful to go and see the world and what people are like all over.
So where's the next trip?
I got a couple trips. I got one to London next month, which is for an obstacle course race I'm going to do. But then in December, the big one, we're going to go for a month to Bali. Take the kids, and it'll be during Christmas break for the college kids.
Wow.
Yeah, my college kids.
That is way cool. So you got people back at the shop who hired the right people.
So I've hired the right people that are just beautiful, good souls who work hard and always want to do good.
Okay.
Yep. Good
so
stuff.
When I first met you, you and you were partners with a guy named Johnny Esposito, who I kind of had heard of. I think his dad, or he was in the nightclub business or something. And
that's correct.
How did that happen?
So funny. Johnny, I just saw Johnny Friday night. It was his 52nd birthday.
Oh, wow.
So we celebrate birthdays within a week of each other, and I went and saw him. But Johnny and I started Mammoth, the first one in downtown Alpharetta. In 96, we made a partnership, and that old gas station, it had been a Sinclair gas station years and years back, and it had converted to many businesses since then. And then in 96, we found that property, and we just did a lot of, paint touch up, a lot of surface stuff, and then started the hand car wash. And it was tough, Alpharetta was a small little town. Having a hand car wash, it was tough with the machine washes up and down the streets. We went about 3 years in, and that car wash down the road, Sky Car Wash, was a big development. They came in, and Johnny just got a little alarmed, and he had thought, well, you know what? I think it's time to move on. Would you be interested in selling? Or buying my half? So I bought into Johnny's. Yeah. And it turned out to be one of the best things I'd ever done. I always had the belief to hold on. It's going to be fine. There's plenty of cars. It'll develop itself. And it did over the years.
When was that again?
That was in 96. So in 99, I bought his half of the business.
Wow. So you've been doing this for 23 years.
23 years.
So you can, one can make money in the car wash business.
Yeah. Well, depends on what you mean, make money. Yes, I do all right. I don't know that the debt ratio to what I make, the earnings are typically what somebody would do. Not being a college graduate and not knowing business, I went into it all, full guns out, and borrowed a lot of money, not realizing, the ratios of what somebody who would put that amount of money into the business would get back in return. And I think ultimately I don't make a lot of money on paychecks, but I have very nice properties. And I think at some point in the next, 8-10 years, the property values will be up there, and I'll have something to really stand my ground as far as money and retirement.
So you're growing assets, and you're
growing the assets,
growing value.
So it's turned out good. I don't know that you'll see many of what we do for that simple reason. There's, typically if you're going to spend the amount of money we spent over the years, you're probably going to do a lot more volume with a machine type wash. The price point, you can't go too high. Obviously, you'll lose customers. So a lot of these machine washes can put through, 300, 500, 700 cars in a day, or a big day for us might be 120 to 150 cars.
Okay.
So that's a big difference in volume and revenues.
But you always seem busy. I mean, are you seeing your business? It seems pretty consistent.
It's always been amazingly consistent. For me, I've always, stepped back and looked and just been in awe of, that consistency. That's one of the things that's always been awe-inspiring to me is no matter what, our numbers typically are growing a little bit every month. Every 6 months or so, we see a little increase. This year, we'll probably have some record-breaking numbers, so we're real excited. It's been good.
I know you were trying to open another car wash in Johns Creek last year.
Yep.
And
it was about 2 years ago, I think.
And you had found the right location, and the zoning didn't work out for you. So, in my business, you reach a point in the size of your business where you can either be really small and keep it small and do well, or you can get real big, so you can hire a marketing manager and you can hire managers and such. So with the car wash business, I mean, can you keep it? Do you need to keep it small, or can you keep growing? Do you see really a limit to?
I don't see a limit at all. Yeah, I think there's the benefit of both, right? There's pros and cons on either side. So if you want to stay small and quaint, and you might want to for an example, me, I try to stay small at this point just because I do have a lot of time with my family. We can travel and we do a lot of good things, and I have the right people in the right place. I think if I were to grow bigger, you could hire a marketing company. You could hire all kinds of wizards and business coaches and get yourself pretty darn big. But I think at the same time, there's the cost of your time. You got to manage. You might get into micromanaging all that. So, ultimately, it boils down to you and how you want to divvy your time up. And, I'm sure there's really smart people out there who can hire lots of great people and grow really big, but I don't see there's a limit especially the car wash business.
Especially if you see there's still more demand out there.
There's definitely a demand.
The cities are growing.
I know in our area, it's just growing so fast.
When you were looking at Johns Creek, that was, you were looking at some pretty pricey real estate. I mean, do you try to fund your own expansion, or do you have to borrow money? How have you financed your, how were you going to finance this third location, say?
Right. So on that, I had gathered different guys. A lot of times I just have a lot of connections through the car wash business over the years. And, I think one of the things is your integrity and your honesty and how you've dealt with people over lots of years and gaining that trust and confidence. And over the years, I've just met lots of people and have gotten to that point where I could ask somebody and show them a business plan of what I had planned and try to get little loans. For example, on the big store, the Old Milton Parkway, I had gone to 10 different people and given them just an investment proposal of if they gave me $50,000, I would give them this much percentage. They weren't actually any type of involvement in the business, but it was a loan. Okay. And so I got 10 guys to give me $50,000. So that was $500,000 to put down on the property. Then I just got an SBA loan, built the building, set up all the business aspect of it, and got it running. And within, a few years, I had paid everybody off, got everybody back paid up, and I'm fresh. So
wow,
it's good.
That's impressive. I mean, to get 10 people,
10
to trust
guys.
You to invest $50,000 a piece with you.
It was very nice.
That's amazing.
Then they're beautiful people and they're very trustworthy, and they helped me out. They gave me everything.
Most of them are like local.
Yeah,
people locally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And so the same thing with Johns Creek. I was going to approach a bunch of guys. I had them lined up. It just didn't work out. The zoning was a big issue down in that area.
Okay, so what would you guess? Okay, so you so you raised $500,000.
Yep.
And then you took a SBA loan out for another amount of money. So on average, if someone was considering getting into your business, what do you think would be an average investment or an average amount of money that it would cost, that they would need to have to get into this business?
Yeah, so that's tough. It would depend on the size of the building, because now I've done the big store at Old Milton Parkway, and I've got the little store that I've been there for almost 23 years. The smaller store, the investment on that was probably about $650,000. Wow. So that was part of an SBA loan, and then the big store was probably $1.6 million. So you could go in two different directions. They're both large amounts of money, but on the one hand, it's a smaller location. We can do a lot of volume out of that little place. It just doesn't have the same presence, right? So people have a different view of it from the outside perspective. Okay. Volume-wise, we can do almost as much as the big store.
With the small store?
Yeah. So it just is a matter of, in our business, it's about production and getting the right amount of people in the right space, moving cars at the right time, not getting a clog in the system. So you're just always trying to keep the cars moving at the same pace. So you might have 2 vacuumers with 2 washers with 1 window cleaner and maybe 1 rim cleaner. So you just have to balance those out. If you get a big volume of cars coming in, now you might need 4 vacuumers, 3 window people, and you're kind of moving people around trying to keep that volume steady pace in the production. Yeah, right. Support those sections.
So you sound like sounds like you're hands-on. You're the owner, but it sounds like you're working a lot.
Yeah,
you're on the job.
Sure, I'm out there. There are days when I'm out there sweating all over the place and inside a car vacuuming. And I think there's something to be said for being out there with your guys, digging in the trenches. And I think mostly our culture and our business is mostly attributed to me being out there. I think if I weren't there, as much as I am, the culture does fall. I mean, no matter who's out there, you can get the best guys out there. The culture slips to some degree. I have great, beautiful guys who really want to please and do well and take care of people. But again, you need a leader, right? You need somebody out there who knows what's going on and isn't lack or in the dark as to what happens with each car, how to get in them, what the new technologies are, and that sort of thing.
So it is important. Like I'm always impressed when I go into Costco, for example. Everyone there is upbeat, they're positive, they have great attitudes.
Yeah, it's nice.
I feel the same way when I go into Mammoth, when I go into your store. Your people are always polite, they're friendly,
That's good.
They're positive.
Yay, I'm glad to hear that. That's good.
So, being in the newspaper business and the advertising business, I'm in touch with a lot of businesses, and all the businesses that I'm in touch with have one thing in common, in that it's getting harder and harder to staff. It's getting harder to find good people. How is that with you, and how do you manage?
Yeah, so just exactly back to that culture. I think on a larger scale, I think us as adults and parents mostly have somehow we've lost that culture of hard work for our children out of love and the need to take care of our children. I think a lot of us have in some ways spoiled our kids to some degree. I don't want to sound crazy, but I think our children just haven't really learned the value and the soul, how beautiful it is for the soul to get a hard day's work in, and move your body, solve problems, get things done under your own weight, right? So, we're giving our children everything, and then they're stuck on their phones, and they've got their own cars, and they're, it just seems like the culture on the larger scale is what I'm seeing, because I'll get some young kids in, and it's just really hard to keep them engaged in their job. I've had young people come in and quit within a few hours, can say, this is just not for me. After I've told them, look, this is really hard work. Please don't come in here if you're going to quit. So, it's just tough. I don't know. And then every now and then you'll find that one special kid out of, 10 or 15 kids, all of a sudden there's a great one. So you try to hang on to those guys, right?
Maybe mentor them,
give them lots of pats on the back, and try to give them a little gift card here and there, maybe a $50 gift card, and say good job, and we're proud of you, and we see good things for you, and give them incentive to move forward and stay with you, because man, it's hard to find them. When you do find them, it's good.
So what do you do when when you're down people and you're looking, you need worker bees? I just tried something with ZipRecruiter, and I don't know how that's going to work.
So you don't know the outcome yet?
No.
Okay.
And I hear from almost every business we deal with, everyone's having trouble staffing. I mean, are you going through traditional ways to find people, or is it more word of mouth?
You know what I've done? This is, and maybe this will help maybe this will help somebody else. I don't know. For me, what I do is to every one of my employees, if they refer somebody. So this is within the house, right?
Right.
So if one of my employees, and we've got about 30 guys, maybe 35 now, if one of my guys brings me an employee, and that employee stays, and we hire them, they stay with us for 3 months, I give them a $250 bonus. Okay. I give the referral the $250. So I write them a check, I put a date on it, I say if that employee stays to this date, you get to cash that check. And it's a fake check, so I have to write a real one later. But yeah, so some of my guys are bringing in guys, and that's the only thing I could think of to get people. I've always thought developing a higher pay scale, getting the guys tips, making sure they're aware of their tips. My management doesn't touch the tips. All the employees at the end of the day, they choose 2 of them. We'll count all their tips, put them in a little envelope, count it, give it to the manager. And at that point, the manager just types that number into we have a report that just tallies up all the hours for that day, divides by the number of, by that dollar amount, gives them $1 per hour average. And then it multiplies each employee. So if one guy had 5 hours, he's going to get less than the guy who had 10 hours.
Okay.
So it just multiplies that hourly wage by it. So they have their tips on top of their pay. And then as well, they have a bonus structure we're actually building right now in the software, which will be kind of neat.
Okay,
and it'll give them like a quarter a car after, 63 cars, you get a quarter a car as long as, the wait times stay within 6 minutes of what we tell customers, so there'll be parameters, but it'll be, I think, that might help us in the future because we are having the same problem.
Setting standards to evaluate job performance.
Yes, that'll be within that bonus part, that we're building.
Okay. So in a good day, you're going through 100, 150 cars?
That would be a very good day, yeah.
A very good day?
Yeah. At the big store. The little store we might do, half of that.
Well, I want to ask, I'll go ahead and ask you this anyway.
Sure.
I mean, what are some of the craziest things your people have found in cars? I mean, the things you can share.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw that question and I thought I know one that I cannot share. So, I think guns are probably the biggest thing. A gun owner leaving their gun in there might be the worst thing. My guys are great, so there's not any issues with us. But you would think if that person's going to do it with us, then there's a possibility they're doing it somewhere else.
Their kids,
or a valet, or their own family. You just don't know, and who knows what culture they build at home, and maybe their family understands how dangerous guns can be. So I don't know. I just know that in our place we don't. I tell my guys, don't touch the guns. Just kind of slide them, slide them to the side, work around it, leave them there. It's all good. Or I'll tell them, the manager will go in and go, hey, did you want to leave your gun in there? So people are good.
Yeah.
But that's about the wildest. Other than that, I can't even imagine what I found. We get some pretty dirty cars sometimes.
I'll bet.
Which you're just wondering how that could be that dirty.
So, one of the things I've watched with you through the years is you're pretty advanced on some of the technology you use, on some of your marketing, on some of your,
thank you.
What has been some of the technology you've adopted that's really done well for you, that you were really proud of, or that you developed?
Oh gosh, thank you. Yeah. So I think, starting fresh back in the old days, we did everything by paper, obviously. So the register, a little paper roll, cash register with handwritten tickets outside. Then we went to printing the tickets and making them really nice. To ultimately, we ended up writing some software that it does a lot of great things. So my software, it's proprietary, so only we have it. And my franchisee on Holcomb Bridge, Ted and Andrew, my two buddies, they opened up their own Mammoth.
So you are
growing and
offering franchises.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. This is big. So on Holcomb Bridge, there's a guy, he's got our software. He's got all our marketing package. He's got all our app. So we have this software. When you come into the car wash, I'll have an iPod scanner, and it'll scan a barcode that we've put inside your door. So it knows who you are. It'll say, hey, Ray Appen, how are you today? Which wash would you like? And so in that app, it has all the wash packages, all the services that we provide. And once we hit print, it'll print a ticket for the customer and a ticket for the employees to know what service to do. So then we run it through the line. They do their job. On the inside, I've got a queue set up in the system where I can see every car in queue from the moment we scanned it. And then when they leave, we scan them out. So within the queue, there's all the cars that are on the property, right? So the thing that I love the most, it was one of my favorite things, and obviously the software is great because we can book your detail. We have a detail scheduling in there, the time clock for the hourly. It does our payroll. It does that queue I'm speaking of. So when you load an app that we offer to the clients on your phone, it gives you the wash times at every store. So all 3 stores show up on the front of the app, And when you want to know, oh my gosh, how long is it going to take? They look really busy. So that you open your app off your phone and it'll tell you, well, this store's at 36. Yeah, the wash time for each store. So this store is at 36 minutes. This one's at 41 minutes and this one's at 38. So you'll know, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go to this one, or I'm going to hold off right now until it gets a little lower. So the lowest you'll see on there is 25 minutes. So it's a little surprising to people who go into tunnel washes and they come in for a quick wash and they're like, 25 minutes, really? I'm the only car. And we're like, I know, it's a hand wash. You know, we specialize in hand washing. It takes a little longer. But the app is beautiful because it calculates how many guys are on the clock at the moment. So if I got 10 guys or if I got 20 guys, it looks at that column of how many employees, and then it'll tell it, all right, the app will say, all right, we're going to add 3 minutes for this size vehicle. But if it's this size vehicle, we're going to add another 2 minutes. Or if it's this bigger size vehicle, it's going to add 5 minutes. That's under maybe 10 guys. If I got 20 guys, it might say, well, it's only 1 minute added to the time clock. Wow. So it's always adjusting. And when the car leaves, it just drops that time. So it's always going up, down every, 5 seconds. It's reasserting itself.
It helps you sort of lifetime. It helps you staff. It helps you measure
performance. It balances the stores. So if one store's at 25 minutes and one's at 80, people look at it and go, oh, I'm going to go over to the 25 minute. And then that starts growing up. And then the 80 goes down and then they meet. And usually they're pretty close to each other. But it's nice when somebody can choose from one or the other and go, you know what, awesome. I'm going to the other one.
So did you get this written locally? I mean, or did you outsource this to
one of my best buddies,
Indonesia,
a guy named Roy Duval? He is a genius on writing this stuff, and he wrote me an app, and it is incredible. You've got to load it. It's on the Android and on the Apple.
Okay, so is Roy have his own business, or is he?
So Roy works
is this
for
a side job,
a giant company called ShareCare. He they do like WebMD and all the big stuff. So he's a big wig guy. He just did it for me as a friend. Which is really nice. Yeah,
cool. And I know you've done. Tell me about your marketing. I know, we've known each other forever, and we do stuff with newspapers, my newspapers. But but I know you've used Facebook a lot. You've probably have an Instagram. What works best for you today? What's your workhorse on
that's funny because
word of mouth. I mean,
word of mouth has always been our staple, right? So advertising is kind of tough in the car wash business, especially what we do. I think for me, Facebook, oddly enough, is my greatest reacher of customers. I use a company called Welcome Mat. Okay. So they come into new homes. So say you just moved into the area, a zip code, and they'll come in and send you a basket full of all these coupons and gifts from all the local businesses. So this guy, David, he set me up, and I get a lot of business from that, where I give a free wash. So if you moved in, I want you first. Yep. If I get you first, you're not really going to go look for another car wash. Once you're in and you've gone through the process and you're happy,
a good experience.
You have a great experience with us. You're typically not going to go look for another one. So that's one of the big ones. But Facebook on its...
so in Facebook, are you doing branding, or what do you... I mean, when
they do a
people
boost...
say Facebook, but often they're specific.
You can always design an ad. And you got to watch how many words are on the ad, because it's got to be mostly image. There's a percentage. They have some sort of template that they utilize to approve it or not approve it. But there's a place, if you have a business Facebook page, when you put in any kind of post, it'll ask you if you want to boost it. And by boost, you'll hit this button. It says boost, and then it gives you a criteria of what age group bracket you want to do, what zip code, how far out from where you're at, if you want to do a 10-mile radius, 20-mile radius. And then you can kind of set all these criterias and then hit how much money you want to spend per day, and then hit boost, and it'll just start hitting people. Okay. And you can
based
do...
on the criteria.
Based, on that criteria and the amount of money that you want to spend. So it's pretty incredible. You just get your name out there. People pass through and see Mammoth. And we do this new technology called ceramic coatings. And ceramic is a...
I was going to ask you about new products, so go ahead.
Pardon me. Yeah, so ceramic coatings are pretty incredible. So over all the years I've been in business, I've always had the nemesis of wash marks. So some people call them swirls, and swirls do come from machining a car. So a high-speed buffer will put swirls in a car, but just washing your car will cause what we call wash marks. And they look like spider webs just spread over your car. So if you have a dark color car, you'll look at it in the sunlight and it's refracting light really oddly, like a spider web has been laid out on your paint. And that's just from microabrasions over time of just touching the car. So God made the laws of physics. They're in place. You can't change them. Friction is real. And every time you touch the car, no matter how much soft and lubricant your soap is and how much wax you have in your soap, and your wash mitt, however microfiber and soft it is, you're still going to scratch that car. It's microabrasions. So they're so tiny, you probably can't see them with the eye. But over time, if you got 100,000 this day, 200,000 another day, 300,000 another day, over time you got billions and billions of wash marks. They start showing. So usually, from my experience, about a year and a half in, 2 years into a car's life, you start seeing those pretty bad. It's always been my nemesis. So I'm looking at cars and I'm thinking, oh my God, this customer's only been with me. Look at this. This is terrible. And we have a package. But
that's just to you. I mean, it probably looks fine to the customer.
Well, I don't know. Some people are very picky, and typically our customers are real picky about their paint. And I know, they know, we all know the truth, but you can't get around it, right? So we have a package where we could buff it and polish it, we call it a correct and seal. So we buff out those little micro abrasions, make the paint, re-level it, resurface it, make it beautiful again, and then protect it. You're good. Well, that process is going to start all over again as you wash it. Now, this new ceramic coating, and the reason that all happens, go back a minute, is because your clear coat is about, on the hardness level, is about an H2. So an H2 means like a H2 pencil. It's a soft surface. Now,
what comes on your
that's
car.
What is on every car. So they're usually about an H2. Now, they all vary to very slight degrees. When you put a ceramic coating on a car, you can get lots of different ceramic coatings. The one we use is by G-Technic. This coating it bonds to your clear coat and creates a hardness level of anywhere from 7 to 9.
Wow.
Which is really hard, 3 to 4 times harder than your surface now. Now, if you take, for example, a Teflon pan, and you know how hard it is to scratch. You could scratch it, but it's really hard to scratch. So the same thing with your paint. Now, when you're washing it, it's so hard, the wash marks don't embed into that paint.
So how did you find this? Or is this?
It's new technology that's coming.
It's
the newest technology that's come out in the last few years. And there's actually a company, G-Technic, that has moved into the Atlanta area. They're up and coming, and they've started selling their product, and they're growing huge leaps and bounds. Great company. You may want to get them on one day. They're big. And so I've been buying their product, and we specialize in using that product. Well, I haven't experimented with other ones, but we're very good at that.
Wax? Is it like wax in the car?
So it is an actual clear liquid that once you perfect the paint, so we have to do a correction first. Make sure your paint's right. Okay. And we get it under lights and measure and everything. And then what you do is you apply it with a microfiber sponge. It's a towel sponge type little thing. And you just put it on there. It takes us about 24 hours. Once we get it on there, you have to wait 48 hours. But you could clean your car with a hose and a leaf blower. It's a miracle thing. It's the best thing I've seen in the 23 years I've been in business.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah. I'm really proud of that. And I got 4 guys that have been trained and know how to do that.
Okay, so does one have to leave one's car with you for 24 hours?
Correct. Yes. Okay. And then they can't get it wet for 48 after that.
But it's like a one-time.
Yeah. So I put a 2-year guarantee on it, but what I put on the car is a 5-year coating.
Okay.
So rest assured, it's a 5-year coating.
What financial advice? What's a quick point or a tip that you can give someone who's wants to go into their own business?
Yeah.
From a money point of view?
I think like everything is just study as many options out there as possible. If you really believe in something, persevere, keep pressing, press forward, study, look online, find there's angel investors, there's investors out there. Find people sell your idea, believe in it. People see passion through how you speak to them, and they watch you, and they know where your heart and soul is. So I think ultimately it boils down to you and knowing and just having confidence and faith in yourself. Those come with time, but that's I think how I just plugged away.
Well, it shows with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Don't give up. Don't give up. You can't give up. When you believe in something, you don't give up.
Yep. Okay. What keeps you awake at night from a business point of view? Anything?
I think right now that staffing issue is trying to get guys, worrying that, things are changing. The culture's changing. It's hard to get guys to actually work. So
that's going to get worse.
I think that too.
And worse.
I see it. It's clear. Robots are coming.
What do you think what is the going rate in Alpharetta? What's the effective minimum rate, do you think, in Alpharetta?
So my guys make with their tips about $15 an hour. Okay. So I'm paying anywhere from $10 to $12 an hour. Managers obviously are in salary, so that's different. But yeah, I think with my bonus program that I'm setting up, they should make a buck or two more an hour than they're already making. So I think for me, that'll help in the future for getting the word out to other car washes that this car wash pays more than any of the other ones. Maybe we'll get the cream of the crop.
Good word to get.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word.
What gives you gratification in your business?
Ultimately, day by day is, I think, just getting people to smile about what service we provide. So if you can make somebody leave happy, it's funny because they're not leaving with a bag of goods. You don't have electronics. You don't have a pair of shoes or a shirt. You have nothing. You don't have a bag of anything. You leave with the service. So
you leave with the experience that you just had.
Correct. So I think if somebody's happy when they leave, that's the most gratifying. So there's lots of deeper gratification things, but that's day by day is good.
Say someone comes in and buys you out tomorrow.
Wow.
You cash out.
Woo!
What's next?
I love construction. I love construction. My wife is brilliant at design and decor. I think her and I would team up and just try to start flipping houses one at a time and see how that goes. See where we'd go with it.
I think this market, there's such a pent-up demand for, so many people are downsizing. They're getting out of their big houses.
Yeah, I see it.
They're building these townhouses as fast as they can, but they're not keeping up with demand. So
yeah, it's a big one.
I think there's a big demand.
There's a demand for that, yeah. And it'd be fun.
Yep. Well, Jimmy Tester, thanks so much for sharing a little bit of your time. And I know you don't have that much time, so we feel honored that you would come on the show.
Well, I'm honored, Ray. Thank you.
And
you're the man.
The first brave person.
Woo! Come on. That's good. Well, Ray, thank you. It's been real fun.